Nicholas was the son of a family in Southern Ireland, in Wexford, who bred horses mostly for the British Army. And in 1815, when the Duke of Wellington defeated Napoleon, the British Army's demand for cavalry horses had dropped precipitously, and the fortunes of the Sparks dropped correspondingly because they sold horses to the army. So young Nicholas, he was then approximately 20, decided to seek his fortune in North America, not necessarily Canada, but in North America. And he made his way to Liverpool, which is where ships for North America normally started out from. And somehow or other, and I like to say in a portside pub, he met Ruggles Wright, one of the sons of Philemon Wright, the founder of Hull, of Wrightsville. And Ruggles and Sparks were roughly the same age. Ruggles was very, very smart. He was in Europe to find settlers, particularly farming settlers, and livestock and seed for his agricultural activities on the north side of the river. So somehow they struck up a relationship, Sparks and Wright. And Wright said, I understand you're going to North America. Well, you can come to my dad's settlement. And while he's an American from Massachusetts, he's taken the oath of allegiance. So you have the advantage of working both for an American entrepreneur and doing it with inside a British colony. And the agreement was that Wright would pay his passage to Canada, and that to repay that, Sparks would be an indentured servant, just called an indenture then mostly, for 5 years. So room and board, and initially a certain amount of money in New York dollars every year, and then 50 pounds a year until the end of the indenture. In 1821, pretty much at the end of his indenture to the Wrights, he and Philemon Wright were on the south side of the river talking to a man called John Burroughs Honey, who had purchased provisionally 200 acres on the south side of the river, but needed to return to England to collect an inheritance and needed money for the passage. So Honey offered the 200 acres to Philemon Wright for £100 sterling. And Wright said, I'm not going to buy your land. It's mosquito-infested beaver swamp, rock-strewn, covered with thick bush and not worth anything. So he turned down the offer. And Nicholas Sparks, who was right behind him because Sparks looked after the Wrights' horses, said, Mr. Honey, will you take £95 sterling for your 200 acres? And Honey said yes. And Sparks, by legend, turned to Mr. Wright and said, Sir, will you lend me the money? At which point, Sparks had acquired what subsequently became the center of downtown Ottawa. In 1826, the British government, under the guidance of the Duke of Wellington, decided to build a canal from essentially Wrightstown to Kingston. There'd been some talk of this for some years earlier. The provincial government had said no way. So the British Army and the Ordnance Corps under the Duke of Wellington said, we are going to build a canal. And initially the canal was going to have run from Dow's Lake down Preston Street to the Ottawa River. But because of an incident, the direction of the canal was changed to its present course, which happened to take it directly through Mr. Sparks's property. And Mr. Sparks and the other owners along the canal each gave to the Crown, to the Ordnance Corps in fact, 200 feet on either side of the canal, all the way along its length. And that, of course, transformed the commercial value of Mr. Sparks's land.